second live, second live I'm doing with Rogelio Diaz. Hi, Rogelio. How are
You
you?
going, baby? Good. Glad to
Hi.
be here again.
Yes. Thank you for being here with me. And the topic of today would be how trauma is affecting our finances. And we decided with Rogelio that we are going to talk about our personal experiences. We are not going to talk about theories and all that, just our personal experiences and how, and we are going to give you practical advice actually. So, Rogelio, where does the fear of receiving come from your experience?
Love that. I think it comes from the fear of losing for me, because
Okay.
you know there something that I've had to go into, Vivi, is when it comes to the fear of receiving, is that I'll like just from past experiences, right? Like there's been times where I received an X amount of money and then I lost it for one
Okay.
reason or another, right? That's why I say the fear of losing it in that sense. Like something would happen, or I remember once my mom told me that if you're greedy, God's gonna take away your money, and a series of events happened after that that made me lose the sum that I had, and
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting, buddy. Like as I've gone deeper into myself with my money blocks and just going and the beliefs I've had around I realized that that was a deep belief, right? Again, that I was afraid to receive because I was afraid I'm just going to lose it. So what's the point, right? Like
Okay.
why kind of avoid that pain? But yeah, that's kind of what I found within myself. How about you, buddy?
Oh my God. Yeah. I grew up in a family where all the fights and arguments were about money. Okay. So every time I wanted to ask my parents for something nice, the answer was anger. Okay. They were becoming angry, or I was making me, I was feeling like I was taken away from them, and if I ask for something, they're gonna suffer for some reason. So I have associated receiving with guilt or taken away from others. So all these negative emotions. So it was very, very hard for me during this journey because I had to break these associations, and feeling comfortable about receiving, because I was feeling selfish, or I was like a burden about asking for things. So I had to try really, really hard to feel okay and not feel guilty about receiving. So yeah, this is where all the pain came from.
Oh,
And thank you for joining us.
thank you, Kincaid.
Hey.
Wow.
So let's go deeper now. Let's talk about our businesses. How does trauma show up in the way you run your business?
Yeah, yeah. We're going deep into how trauma affects the organic flow of money, Caden. Um, I think when it affects it in every way, right? I think trauma affects our business in every single way because it's an expression of you and mirrors
Hmm.
back, right? What
Hmm.
what hasn't been resolved, the unconscious stuff, and I think the biggest thing is just like and then the self sabotage, right? I think that's
Hmm.
the biggest thing, but it happens because again, what we believe deep down, and I know the biggest thing that has come up for me that has stopped like that I've had to go into that would stop me consistently is the belief that I was a failure still,
Hmm.
because every failed launch, everything that didn't go the way I thought it should have gone, oh, that means I'm a failure, right? That means that I can't do it. And that would again, then I would stop and
Hmm.
not and forgetting that this is part of the process, bro. Like
Hmm.
it's gonna be ups and downs. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be challenging. But until I went into that fear of failure or the belief that I was a failure, I that's all every story, every moment, every piece of my life that quote unquote failed. It was just reinforcement of what I deep down again felt and believed of myself. But that's the thing. Like I think once you go in, it'll get a lot easier as you go into those deep rooted beliefs because they don't have much of of a hold on you. You know what I mean,
Mhm.
buddy?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. In my case, what I've realized actually lately, it is that I was projecting a lot to my clients. So I was thinking that if I'm struggling with money, then my clients will be struggling and they won't be able to pay for my services. Okay. So, or I was feeling guilty about charging a lot. I was feeling because I was experiencing exactly the same feelings I had when I was asking money from my parents or anything I was asking from my parents. Then I've realized that my parents, actually, as a family, we were not struggling about money, but my family was using their financial situation to express emotions in general, the frustrations about their marriage or being where they were. And then this is something I do a lot, but I have stopped lately. Expressing my emotions through my financial situation. So emotions like abandonment, fear like I don't have support, I don't feel safe, and expressing all these things through my financial situation. So at some point, I had to separate these two. So it's not about me, it's not about money, it's about my need to express something inside me. And it was perfect because money triggers many, many emotions. Okay. So it was very convenient for me. And the other thing that I kept doing, um, it was when I was um, trying to do something new, especially when you have your own business, you're always trying new things. And most of the times you are not ready, you're not feeling comfortable with. So I would try something, it wouldn't succeed, and then I would go into a freeze mode or the void, as we call them in the spiritual community. I wouldn't do anything. I was feeling so bad. When I was doing good, I was the best person. But when I was doing bad or something was not happening, I was a failure. So I had to find a balance between these two. But it's very, very important because many people are doing it. We are projecting a lot to our clients. And you need to make separation. Many people don't have, they don't feel like as we feel, okay? Or sometimes um, I remember in the past I would go to, I was having a therapy session and I was expecting a breakthrough, but it was not happening, and I had like a disappointment. So when I had a client, I'm overdoing things. I was overdoing things because I wanted my clients to have breakthroughs, and sometimes they were not ready for these breakthroughs. So I was overdoing it until I found the balance between where I'm at now and change is not up to me when it comes to my business. I can help my clients, but it's my client's job to do the work. So that was a huge realization for
Mhm.
me.
Well said,
All
brother.
right.
Well
Okay.
said.
Uh, shall we go to the next question? Is that how does safety have to do with abundance?
Yeah, it has everything to do with abundance, right?
Yes.
And I think everybody who's joining right now as well. Um, I think if you don't feel safe having X amount of prosperity, of abundance coming in, it's just not going to happen. And there's different ways of, or different, yeah, different ways of feeling safe because if you don't feel safe to be seen
Mm-hmm,
and you're trying to get yourself out there, you're going to stop yourself, right? If
mm-hmm,
you don't feel safe or safe holding X amount of money, you're not going to do it, right? And
mm-hmm,
that's the thing. Like when you know that you got, and that's why like I tell this to my clients a lot. You got you. When you feel that safety, that no matter what happens, no matter who leaves, no matter what happens in the external world, when you have that knowing that you have you and you're going to protect yourself, that part of you, that inner child, it changes things, right?
Mhm.
Because you're relying on yourself for that safety, not external authority figures, not external things, because you know you're going to be okay no matter what. And I think that just having that perspective shift helps so much.
Mhm.
And but that trust, you have to, I don't want to say earned, but it takes time to develop, right, within yourself. But yeah, if you don't feel safe in your vessel, if you don't feel safe holding X amount of responsibility, X amount of money, X amount of abundance, it's just you're going to consistently stop right before that breakthrough
Mhm.
happens, right before you break through that wall to the next level. What would
Yeah.
you say, baby?
I absolutely agree. And in my case, starting my own business triggered abandonment fears. Okay. So the fear that I cannot be in a workplace with other colleagues and I'm doing my own thing. That means that nobody wants me. It was like this kind of um, association. And also, I had all these fears about receiving. Okay. Or the other thing that I've done, it was just because I had my first experiences with money in abundance was coming from my dad. Okay. He was the one who had the money, he had the power. So after one point, I started feeling that people with money have, my clients are like my dad. They have control, they have the power. So I had to separate that. That meant that I wasn't feeling safe to have many clients because I was afraid that I'm going to feel overwhelmed, and I didn't have a support group to help me out when I was feeling overwhelmed. So starting my own business um, brought up all the fears about safety. I wasn't feeling safe to have a lot because I was afraid I'm going to lose it. And if I lose it, my dad is going to be very angry. This kind of fears. Because when I was making mistakes, or when I was younger, I was humiliated, or I had really, I mean, the treatment I was getting was really, really bad. So I was terrified of making mistakes, or I was terrified of being judged. That meant I wasn't feeling safe to be out there and doing my own thing and have a lot, because there was a constant fear that something bad is going to happen and I won't be able to deal with it. So that was one of my many reasons. And that's why I believe that safety is very, very important. And you need to feel safe in order to take some steps to do things. And I believe that apart from internal safety, it's important to have a support group, people you can feel safe with. Even if they, just as an idea, they don't need to be real people sometimes. Just someone just to feel like a little bit safe that someone is there if something happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
It,
agree?
it's crazy how much of these childhood traumas or childhood memories affect us to this day, right? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that, I mean, there's so many things that are created from those traumatic experiences. And I think a big one too, Vivi, is shame, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
guilt and
Mm-hmm.
shame, they kind of walk hand in hand. And I know I was sharing this with you before the live, or yesterday, I think, how that, well, first the connection with my mom, right, of like,
Mm-hmm.
and the like, helping me financially in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of, and then I felt shame. It was a nice little perfect suffering loop that I created, that, but it was like it's like a trauma bond, maybe, I don't know, but it's like
Yeah.
I that was how she showed love to me growing up. She would buy me things. She would give me that money because she wasn't able to give the time at that point, right? Um, and it's just interesting. Like, there was so much shame with receiving that help from my mom,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that made me, even again, just beat myself up more and create even more financial hardships. But then my mom would come in and save me, help me, and oh, and then the little Roy would be like, "Oh, my mom loves me. Oh, you're right. Like, look, she's giving me money or she's helping me," and it's like, but it's like two conflicting parts, right? Two
Hmm.
conflicting parts, and I think that again, going back to the safety, it's like if you can work through that shame, that guilt, those fears that you're talking about, I think that'll also help you get to that point where you feel safe, knowing that you can provide, you can be independent, and you can receive love in different ways, not just having that bond in that way. I think that's been huge as well, just recognizing that, you know.
Absolutely. And the thing is that when you are in a stage of survival and fear, and you feel there's like some kind of a threat, your brain prioritizes safety over expansion. Okay.
Mhm.
And so when you have like financial difficulties, your first need is to feel safe. That's why you cannot think of, you know, taking new steps or trying to do new things because these are coded as threat. You don't feel safe to do that. And what you have just said is so important because we have associated love with money. And sometimes when you feel scared or when you feel stressed, you may actually what you need to do is to feel comfortable. You want to feel safe, but because there is no other way to express that openly, you may ask for money. Can you understand the difference? It's like um, you don't ask for what you want directly, you just ask it indirectly, like asking for money. But actually, what you're asking is, I want to feel safe, I want to feel loved. Um, so, not really sure about the question here. What is
Yeah,
the question?
which question? Reflection.
Yeah. Ask again. So, my next question is, why do so many healers and coaches struggle with charging their worth? What do you think?
Man, I've seen this again and again and again, and I've been there. I've been there myself, right? It's crazy, man. Like, obviously, low self worth, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I don't. And the real question is, who and what made you believe that? Um, but I remember, I remember when I was doing sales calls, and I had this one lady charging $30 a month for her coaching, weekly coaching.
Mm.
And I had I'm like I had to be honest. I'm like, buddy, why are you like that? You're worth more. And sometimes you need to hear that, right? Like
Hmm.
30, it's nothing compared, right? Because you're charging for the wisdom, you're charging for the knowledge, you're charging for everything that you have invested in and everything you have done up until that point. And um yeah, just like the unworthiness, the smallness within you activates, because why is it that people are selling 15K, 20K, 50K programs, and you don't feel like you can do that even though you're providing just as much value, right? If not more. Like, and I've gone through quite a few experiences, right, being in sales, and it just from helping other people sell their programs. And I've seen it again and again, right? Like, and also, and for some reason, it's easier to sell other people's programs than your own. And even though they charge more, uh, but I feel like when you really start to see that you're valuable and your real worth, I think you'll start to charge more. Reflection: what do you teach in life coach? Do you slap them and yell them in their ear to wake up?
Of course, we slap them. Of course, we do.
All right, see,
What do
we're
you
not
think
gonna
we do
answer
here?
dumb questions, bro. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, it, if you if you don't know how valuable you are, someone's gonna tell you, bro. Someone's gonna tell you, and you're gonna charge $30 a month. Um, but that I think that's the biggest thing: seeing your real worth, and also not having to not having to try to prove it, because that's a big thing too. You know, baby.
Mm. But this is not the person who charges $30 for a session. The reason they do it is not logical, it's emotional. Okay. So they don't feel safe to raise their prices because, again, they have associated high prices with something negative. So in their case, they feel like I want to share, I want to do things, I want to speak about everything that is important for me, but I can't charge for that. I'm feeling guilty. I'm feeling uncomfortable. And I cannot tolerate this emotion. So the people who are charging a lot do not have negative emotions associated with high prices. On the contrary, they feel really good about it. They're motivated. Okay. So for them, um, charging high prices make them feel good about themselves. But when a person feels uncomfortable about it, they're gonna feel guilty. So they don't wanna feel that. So you cannot really raise your prices unless you break up these negative associations with money, these negative emotions, and all these uh, limited beliefs or negative, not negative, but stress responses based on many people feel overwhelmed with lots of money,
Mhm.
or when they have many clients.
Yeah.
So they want to do the minimum because they cannot tolerate, they cannot regulate their stress when they charge more. So this is emotional, this is not logical. That's the most important thing. We
I
need
think,
to,
and
yeah.
I love that, because that's why, again, when I see the ability to hold, it's like your CNS, right? It feels overwhelming that you can't, you literally can't hold that stress, right? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, exactly. It's very emotional. And I'll share this real quick too. Interesting enough, even because sometimes that like, it's time to raise your prices, right? But again, that internal stuff, and that safety. But what I the true story. Um, there was a point where I was going back and forth from raising my prices from 500 to 1,000 a month, right, for
Mm-hmm.
3 months. And in the middle of a session, I went to the bathroom and I'm like, I knew she could afford it, and I'm like, bro, it's now or never. Like, you either gonna, it's now or never. And in the session, I in the middle of the session, I decided I'm gonna go for it, and
Mm-hmm.
that experience changed me, right? The fact
Mm-hmm.
that I just, you know what, let's see what happens. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just crazy because it kind of going through that, I saw like, oh yeah, I can charge that amount, and I can hold that in my CNS, right? And yeah, just funny story, man.
But what was going in your head? What were you thinking? Her response, or what was making you feel so uncomfortable?
I was at that point, I really needed a client, quote unquote, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I knew she was a great client to work with, and I was afraid that she would say no,
Okay.
because I have 500 compared to 1,000, right? She'd probably be more likely to say yeah. And I was going back and forth in my mind, like, oh, can I, but then once I realized that she could afford it, that's also kind of helped me, like, you know what, all right, she has the availability to do it, and that's also what helped me. And again, I've been wanting um to charge that amount, and that's kind of what led the way to, like, I knew she was capable, and then I was like, all right, let's see what happens.
But again, if you go deeper, you may have been thinking that, oh, I'm gonna lose her. So I have one chance to have this client, and I'm going to lose them. And if I lose them,
Mhm.
I'm gonna feel like a failure. If I feel like a failure, I will stop doing things. If I stop doing things, that means that I won't be able to have good energy or be open to receiving, or I will need to ask my parents for money, for example.
Mm.
So it was all these thoughts that were making you feel so uncomfortable. Okay. Um, but if you try to analyze it better and you think that, okay, this is one more client, and yeah, there is a possibility for the client to say no. But just because you had all this emotional charge behind you, okay, everything was becoming too much. You were overthinking, over analyzing it. analyzing the situation. Okay,
Mhm.
so this is what I mean, when I'm working with my clients, this is what we analyze. We analyze all the emotions, all the beliefs, their responses, and we're trying to change that. Okay, if you don't change that, every time you have a client, you will be feeling the same emotions and
Absolutely
you will
right,
have the
bro.
same thoughts. So
Yeah,
what's the point? And it's not that you are not good enough or that you cannot do this work. It's about your emotions and your limited beliefs are getting into the way of everything, of success. That's why this is what you need to work on.
precisely, bro.
And
Yeah,
you said something, it's not about strategy. I mean, now with the AI can create the perfect strategy for your business.
yeah,
It's not how you run the business. I mean, you can find that. It's how you feel inside. And this is the mirror. Your business is the mirror of how you feel inside. You said it perfectly in your videos.
every time, every time, bro.
Mhm. And we have one more question is that how does true wealth healing look like for you? I mean, when you healed all these fears and limiting beliefs, how did your business, the way you run your business, changed?
Yeah, so I definitely wouldn't say I've healed everything, right?
Of course,
Just
yeah,
yet,
we're
or
humans.
even yeah. I mean, I go back and forth with that too, right? Can you heal everything in a lifetime? But I've done quite a bit of work,
Hmm.
and I think the biggest thing that it's in relationship to wealth, right? Because it means different things to everyone. Um, I think it gave me more courage to go out and try stuff
Hmm.
more than anything, right? Like when I remember I went to Costa Rica and I worked with ayahuasca, and I came back and I'm like, I really want to go into speaking and just kind of go again. But the internal stuff
Hmm.
while I was there happened first, and I was like, I kind of realized, oh, I think I can do it, right? I think I can create that for myself. And I
Hmm.
think as you again, it's as you do that inner work, you start to say, I can more, right? I
Hmm.
can do that. And what do you know? I got back from Costa Rica. I went out. I joined Toastmasters. I started recording my speak. I don't know if you've ever seen those
Yeah,
videos. I
yeah,
started
yeah, yeah.
speaking out. Right. I spoke at an event a couple times, and I started doing more speaking videos on YouTube. And it's just like that shift of wow, maybe I can, maybe I
Mhm,
am capable. And as I go on deeper, and I became aware, right, became more and more aware of what beliefs I've been holding on to, what traumas are there. I was able to push a little bit more, right, out of my
mhm,
comfort zone, and a little bit more, and a little an incremental progress, you can call it.
mhm, mhm,
And then I realized I could do a lot more than I thought I could. But
mhm,
you just through taking that next step, knowing, right, like, okay, I want to do a little more speaking. Oh, I want to go all in on coaching. Oh, I want to do workshops. Like all those things, they showed me just through the experience that. But again, because I resolved, or I went into quite a bit within. I think, and that's what I think you keep moving forward until boom, it pops, and
mhm,
you gain quite a bit of momentum.
mhm. Absolutely agree. When someone is healing or starts changing all these emotions and beliefs, what we see in the beginning is that there's some kind of a distance between the thought and the reaction, okay? The feeling and the reaction. So you have a better control of what is happening. You are more aware of your thoughts and your emotions. And this is the first step. The next step is to um, start changing the way you react. So, for example, maybe the past when you were feeling stressed, you would stop and do nothing. You're gonna go in. You were going into the freeze mode, but now you would say, "I'm absolutely terrified about what is going to happen, but I won't stop. I will try one thing today," and this is a huge progress. huge progress. At some point, you will be able to do better and better, but this is practice. You need to do it again and again.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. In the beginning, it won't be as good, but later on, you will get better and better.
You know,
But repetition is important. You need to repeat something again and again in order to make it look, you know, or to feel more comfortable or more confident. Confident people are not like the ones who feel absolutely sure about themselves. Confident people are terrified sometimes, but they would think that, okay, I'm gonna do it. And because I know that no matter what happens, I will be able to deal with it in some way. So they are not as scared.
that's right.
Yeah.
You said something that might easily be missed, bro.
Mm-hmm.
With learning one or doing that one thing,
Mm-hmm.
right, repetitively. That changed the whole trajectory of my life. When I was 22 and I was drinking half a bottle of Bombay
Mm-hmm.
every other day, I I went to sleep one night and I asked myself if this was going to be the rest of my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
While I was under the influence, and I decided that night that I don't know why, for whatever a reason, I decided I was going to learn one new thing every day, baby, to
Mm-hmm.
better myself, to improve
Mm-hmm.
myself. And that just started a whole
Applauded. Mm.
series of events because I was starting to find my true self from just learning one new thing. It was personal development. I didn't even know it. And here we are 10 years later. So it's crazy. Just that one decision, that one thing that you said, maybe it can change your whole life. It did for me.
Absolutely, I agree with that. One step at a time, because sometimes when we start our businesses, our mind is like, oh, I'm going to be successful in 6 months. This is what we were believing back then. It
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
happen. Because you cannot push yourself, okay, after all the traumas you may have or the way you grew up, you cannot really change things in 6 months. It's not going to happen. Okay, it's not going to happen. And even if it happens, okay, and if you succeed, it's more likely you won't be able to sustain that. You won't be able to be okay. You're gonna get stressed straight away. And you see that sometimes with singers, like young ones, they cannot really all this publicity is too much for them, you know.
Oh, yeah.
They get overwhelmed. So this is how it looks like. You move on gradually so you're able to control it and feel okay with the next step and the next step.
Couldn't be more accurate, baby. Yep. And that's
Yeah.
precisely it.
So okay. I don't think we have any questions so far. Okay, we can close, I guess.
Yeah.
And the people who are going to watch it later, if you have any questions or if you want us to analyze something very specific for our next live, do let us know.
Yeah.
All
Please reach
right?
out, guys.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Thank you very much for being here, Rogelio.
I hope we helped somebody today, baby. Thank you for having me.
I believe we did. Okay. Have a lovely day.
You too, buddy.
Bye bye. Bye.